is just the B section. This is just the B section. I think they.
Different sort of riff, is that?
Well, the One March of Priest has a B section, you know, a middle section, and they never play it. But this guy's new. If you want him to keep it on the A section, I can tell him to do it.
Yeah, we have to see He actually was here about 16 years ago for a while.
That's what it's doing.
A lot of boys. That can't be unless they weren't broken properly. I saw them all sitting in their seats. That's it.
Let us begin this joyous celebration in prayer. Lord of creation, we have so much to be thankful for on this day of commencement. We are grateful for family and friends who supported these students through their years of study and personal growth. We're also grateful for the successes and triumphs that each one here has achieved to make it to this day. We're even thankful for the hardships and challenges that have made these students who they are, perhaps even more so than their successes. We ask that you bless our time together. May it be a joyous, beautiful, and memorable occasion for all of us. Amen.
Hello. Good morning and welcome to family, friends, guests, alumni, faculty, the Board of Governors, the Board of Trustees, Mr. Seibert, Mr. Shaw, but most especially my peers, boys class of 2016. I consider everyone who goes through Cranbrook as family. Well, kind of. I mean, my classmates and I, yeah, I'd consider us brothers, but I would definitely refrain from calling Mrs. Seibert and Mr. Shaw mommy and daddy. And for them to have hundreds and hundreds of children, all right. 59,976,000. That is the approximate number of seconds I've been in school in Cranbrook's classrooms. It's also just a fancy way of saying I've been here since kindergarten. But overall, in my 14 years here, I can genuinely, truly say that I have learned. Yes, breaking news. Over the course of a decade and a half of being in school, I have learned. But the community at Cranbrook has taught me more than just how to say good morning in Spanish, or how the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, or how Romeo and Juliet probably could have avoided death. And for those who haven't read Romeo and Juliet, sorry, that was kind of a spoiler alert. The community at Cranbrook has taught me so many valuable lessons. And one of those lessons comes through a very specific experience, and that experience is the powwow. So during preseason, the Cranbrook varsity soccer team travels up north, where we bond, run, swim, play soccer, and just attain unimaginable amounts of soreness. But on the last day, we have our powwow. And please, take that description lightly, because its real definition is a Native American ceremony involving singing, feasting, and dancing. In reality, the soccer team circles up to talk around a small fire while being attacked by hundreds of mosquitoes. No actual singing, feasting, or dancing, but really it's close enough. But I absolutely love our powwow because it's a time of self-reflection. And during our powwow, each of us get a turn to speak and say these 4 things: what we're grateful for, our low of the trip, our high of the trip, and our goal for the future. So I'll use that exact format to cover my 14 years here in this very speech. And although the soccer team's powwows feature everyone getting a turn, I'll have to go against tradition since there's well over 500 of you guys here and we don't have 8 hours to get through everyone. However, I encourage you all to think sometime and really reflect on these 4 things as well. First, what I'm grateful for. Well, besides pizza, the bookstore's cookies, free periods, and snow days, I'm grateful for a few more important things. First, I'm grateful to the entire boys class for electing me to give this speech. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to make a joke about Mrs. Seibert and Mr. Shaw having thousands of babies. No, but actually, thanks not only to you guys, but to everyone who's been a part of the community at Cranbrook, because each one of you contribute to making this the best and most amazing community for a student to be a part of. I'm also thankful for my parents, who have given me the opportunity to be at Cranbrook for the past 14 years. I believe that we should all appreciate how our loved ones and parents have sacrificed so much time, effort, and money in order to assure that we received a life-changing education from Cranbrook. Second, my all-time low. A low usually causes a turning point and teaches you a valuable lesson. You learn something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. It happened when I was in 9th grade at Cranbrook. A sudden, unannounced school meeting was held, and we were all told that Caleb Lee, a 10th grader at CK, had passed away. I had never spoken a word to Caleb, but it was definitely the lowest point in my time at Cranbrook. I couldn't fathom what pain his closest friends and family were going through. I thought, what if I only had 1 more year left to live? Caleb didn't even know it was coming, and none of us did. From that, I learned life is so precious, yet so precarious. I learned to tune in and appreciate all the wonderful things that constantly go on in my daily life. Has everyone seen one of these before? Of course you have. It's an iPhone. Oops. Let this iPhone represent one of us. Everywhere around us right now, there are radio waves traveling through the air. And even though we can't see them, and my phone is currently off, at any moment I could tune in, pick up those radio waves, and listen to my favorite music. What I'm trying to say is that we need to tune in. There's all these wonderful things constantly going on around us, like the sound waves and music, the messages around this iPhone. And all of those things are so easy to miss. We literally need to tune in and acknowledge all the wonderful things that constantly surround us. Remember, that could all be gone at any moment. All right, third, my all-time high at Cranbrook. Wow, to choose my single favorite moment over the course of 14 years. I'm not gonna get super zen and say it was the time I saw a duck take care of a duckling, and that represents the support our loving teachers give us yearning students or something like that. Wow, favorite moment ever. I had to really think about this one, and then it hit me. Ask this question to a marathon runner. What's the best part of the race? Mile 1? No. Mile 22? No. It's crossing the finish line. And yes, although my time at Cranbrook has been completely full of pain, suffering, and struggle like a marathon, well, maybe a little, but it was an endurance test that forced me to learn and really understand how to enjoy the ride. We are all departing this high school as accomplished men who not only survived, but thrived in all of our classes. Well, maybe except in physics, but in all the other classes we did well. But then there was also bio. Never mind that. Being at this podium and getting to celebrate our success with 100 of the best guys I've ever known, it's such a great feeling and great honor. I'm hopeful that you guys are also proud of yourselves for putting in years of work to be successful and finally graduate high school. Overall, there's no doubt that this is my best moment of my time at Cranbrook. Fourth, and last but not least, my goal for the future. This one is simple, really, and maybe the most important. For this one, I'm gonna give credit and quote my man, my hero, and founder of your favorite company named after a fruit. His name is Steve Jobs. He says, people say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing. And it's totally true. And the reason it's true is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're going to give up. Thanks, Steve. In addition to this, I want us to all understand that we are creating the life of our dreams. Question your self-imposed limits and set out to achieve great things. To do this, you must find your passion, follow that passion, be persistent, never give up, and be great. Be so great and understand we only get one shot at this game called life, so let's make it count. All right, in case any of you have been asleep for the past 9 minutes, I want to say 2 things. First, I hope you had a nice nap. Second, you're in luck, because here's the summary of my powwow. I'm so grateful for Cranbrook being the best, and for my parents for supporting me. Earlier, I took out my iPhone to explain that the most important lesson I learned in my 14 years here was to tune in and appreciate all the wonderful things that go on in my daily life. Rest in peace, Caleb Lee. My all-time high is finishing this marathon and graduating right now. And for the future, I encourage all of us to find what we love, be great, be persistent, aim high, and most of all, never give up. Thank you.
We invite the alumni to join the graduates in the singing of the Harrow School Song.
Good morning. I have the honor of introducing today Brian Barefoot, Cranbrook class of 1961. Brian entered Cranbrook in the fall of 1958 as a member of Form 4, or as we would say today, in his sophomore year. At that time in Cranbrook's history, each of the upper school dormitory houses was home to a group of boys from grades 9 through 12. Brian, whose hometown was Youngstown, Ohio, was assigned to Page Hall. Brian's senior yearbook contained narratives that described the culture of each of the Cranbrook houses as seen through the eyes of the boys themselves. The Page Hall statement included the proud assertion, "The men of Page Hall, leaders all, have again lived up to a fine reputation of being first athletically, first socially, and last academically." That seemed to agree with Brian's recollection that academics were not his bag. But in fact, that was not the full story. That same yearbook also identified Brian as the recipient of multiple writing awards, as a staff member of the Brook, the Cranbrook Yearbook, and as a member of the Federalists, a current events organization. And then there was the learning that didn't come from a textbook. Back then, Page Hall had a snack bar and a barber shop on the lower level. Brian spent a fair amount of time down there and fondly remembers his chats with Ev the barber. Brian believes that he learned many life lessons in that barber shop that would never be taught in a classroom. Brian was an athlete at Cranbrook, and sports were an important part of his life here. He earned varsity letters in basketball and tennis, where he was a league champion. Cranbrook was then a member of the Interstate League, and our teams traveled to Pennsylvania, New York, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio to compete. Brian enjoyed those road trips and relished the competition. He valued the camaraderie that was forged during his years of playing Cranbrook sports and learned the importance of defining success as team success, a lesson that he carried into his professional life. After graduating from Cranbrook, Brian left for Union College to study engineering. Always an athlete, Brian continued to play basketball and tennis. And when he was asked by a coach to consider playing goalie for Union soccer team, another sport was added to his repertoire. Yet, although he was having a good year, Brian became dissatisfied with engineering and considered taking a year off. When his father didn't see that as an option, Brian's classmate, Cranbrook classmate, and good friend, Barry Shapiro, suggested that Brian join him at Babson College. That became a turning point in Brian's life. He enrolled at Babson, and he changed his major to finance and investment, which proved to be the right career choice. And of course, his athletic career continued, including playing goalie on Babson's soccer team. After earning his BS from Babson in 1966, Brian went on to earn an MBA from Pace University's Lubin School of Business. Brian's successful career has spanned over 40 years. 25 of those years were spent with Merrill Lynch, where he rose through the company until he eventually managed all of its West Coast operations, retiring as Senior Vice President and Managing Director. At Payne Webber, Brian served as Executive Vice President, Director of Investment Banking, and President of Payne Webber International. His expertise in capital markets, trading, banking, and risk management was put to good use time and time again as he engaged new initiatives. Brian has co-founded 2 companies and served on the board of directors of multiple healthcare institutions. From that vantage point, he has watched the evolution of our current healthcare system, beginning with the work of then Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, another Cranbrook alum. Much more could be said about Brian's incredible career in finance and business, but this introduction would be incomplete without sharing Brian's continued and extraordinary relationship with Babson College. In the late 1970s, Brian agreed to take on a major role with Babson's capital campaign. That involvement led to a position on Babson's Board of Trustees and to his role as chair of the board in 1996. When the school's search for a new college president was not producing the right person, Brian was asked to serve as the interim president at Babson and accepted the position. The fit was perfect, and the following year, Brian was asked to make the position permanent. During his tenure as president, Babson's reputation as an outstanding institution grew. Babson's MBA program and undergraduate entrepreneurship program are nationally recognized each year as two of the best programs of their kind. Brian is especially proud of his work to improve diversity at the college and to expand its scholarship program. When he left Babson in 2008, he was elected President Emeritus and Trustee Emeritus. Brian remains a stalwart fan of Babson athletics and can often be seen in the stands cheering for his teams. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Brian Barefoot.
Got to make sure the sound system here works since it's falling off, but we'll make this work. So, thank you, Claudia, for that nice introduction. Before I start, I have to say this. 55 years ago, I sat where you all sat. It's hard to believe. I haven't been in this church since then. It hasn't changed a lot, and it really is an impressive, and I hope as you gentlemen come back and visit the school over your many years and for many reunions, you appreciate how beautiful this particular church is. The other thing I'd like to compliment is your student speaker. This is getting old. I used to follow the student speakers at Babson when I was the president, and I was most of the time embarrassed because they did such a good job. There was absolutely no way that I really wanted to get up and follow them, and it's not a whole lot different today. So congratulations. It was a wonderful message to your classmates. Nice job. So, Mrs. Siebert, members of the faculty, trustees, governors, parents, grandparents, invited guests, and most importantly, members of the esteemed class of 2016. It's a wonderful day. You've all taken a long journey to reach this milestone in your lives. I suspect it's probably a bittersweet moment. It is sweet because of what you've accomplished and the prospects of what lies ahead in the fresh beginning. And yet, for both you and Cranbrook, it's also the end of a joint venture. The entire Cranbrook community applauds your accomplishments and is grateful for the legacy you will leave behind. Your families are also extremely proud of you. Being a parent of 3 children myself, you can't imagine the sense of relief they're experiencing. So I've got a suggestion. Now would be a most opportune time to ask for money. And maybe even a new car. So when I thought about what I'd say today, I considered the many one-liners that often sprinkle commencement speeches, such as, "The future belongs to those who see possibilities before they become obvious," or "Dreaming isn't absurd, it's how big things get done," or that famous line from the great philosopher Yogi Berra, "If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else." And then I thought about the many books and essays that have been written about ways to succeed. I could take excerpts from those and tell you how to succeed in almost anything imaginable. But I'm reminded of an article written many years ago for the Sun newspaper in Holyoke, Massachusetts, by James Jakowski, a retired columnist. He imagined standing where I am today, just dying to tell the graduates something that they'd never heard before and never thought they'd ever hear. He would tell them how to fail. So 2 of the points made in that article were: you fail if you are inconsiderate of others. So many people think the world was created just for them, and they disregard the feeling of others. And you will also fail if you think the world owes you anything because of the education you've received. The only people owed anything are those whose victories and defeats paved the way for all the opportunities you've enjoyed thus far and will continue to enjoy as you go on to college. Having said that, don't be afraid to push your boundaries. What other time in your life will you have that chance? As you think ahead, I suspect success and happiness are among your many goals, but be careful They don't always come together. Not all successful people are happy, and not all happy people are successful. The thing to remember about happiness, in large part, it's determined by how you think about life. So always think about the best in people and situations, and view mistakes and setbacks as stepping stones to success. You learn far more from failure and mistakes than you do from success. But let's not get too philosophical, because in about 10 weeks, you'll be heading off to the college of your choice. So let's fast forward. Imagine you and your parents are sitting listening to some president in some college give a matriculation or freshman orientation address similar to the one I had the privilege of giving to 7 incoming freshman classes at Babson College. Here are a few experts. Welcome to I'm so excited to be here University. I know many of you have had or will have intense conversation with your parents about behaving responsibly, about studying hard, about avoiding some of the temptations you are certain to encounter by living on your own. Some of you have no doubt received a commitment from your parents not to get emotional when they leave, lest they embarrass you. But don't be surprised if you get a big hug and perhaps even a few tears, maybe even today. You have successfully ended the most recent leg of life's journey, but as often true in life, the end of one journey is the beginning of another here at college. Where will this new journey take you? What challenges and opportunities await you? The world's a difficult place at this moment in time. There are lots of challenges, but challenges create opportunity. One such opportunity is to show character and leadership in a world desperate for both. Character, that's doing the right thing even when no one is looking. And leadership. Let's think about leadership for a minute. What is leadership? There have been hundreds of books written on leadership. The only thing I know for sure, you take it for granted until it's not there, and then it becomes very obvious. It's really ethical leadership. And what do I mean by ethical leadership? What I think of is acting with integrity. In the pursuit of your personal and professional goals, do not, and I repeat, do not compromise your integrity along the way. Remember, you completely control your integrity. Along with a good education, integrity is one of the very few things that no one can take away from you. They can take your money, they can take your girlfriend, they can take your car, they can take a lot of things. They cannot take away your integrity. But you can give it away. You can give it away by your actions. Do not, under any circumstances, give it away. So now that you're here at college, think more about questions and less about answers. Answers matter, but the push to arrive at them too quickly can constrain you. College is the time to ask really big questions like, who am I? What do I love? What really matters to me? How can I make a difference in the world? And not all learning will go on in the classroom. Similar to your experiences in high school, valuable lessons are available elsewhere, on the playing fields, on the stage, in your living groups, or in the many student organizations that will exist on campus. And in these activities, you will continue to learn the value of teamwork, leadership, preparation, management, and getting people with many different views to pull together to achieve a common purpose. I'm sure that sounds familiar. There's no question that these are life skills that are essential for success in virtually any field of endeavor. So go out of your way to seek out those who are different from you. You will be amazed at what you continue to learn about people. If you were to ask my opinion, and you have a choice between another science course or another accounting course or a course in psychology or sociology or better yet, child psychology, take the latter. While learning and developing a functional skill is very important, success in business and in life will largely depend on your people skills. And another psychology or sociology course will help to further inform you about people. Many of you will go on to a career in business. Like most professions, it's all about people. You've been well prepared for arrival at college by your parents, other family members, and of course, your teachers from years past. Many of your parents have sacrificed much so that you may enjoy the privilege of a college education. Honor their sacrifice by making the most of the extraordinary opportunity. And I have a favor to ask of each of you. Stay in touch with your families. They, like you, are going through a period of adjustment. Since the day they brought you home from the hospital, you've been at the center of their lives. Now they must adjust to life where you're no longer a constant presence, maybe with some relief. While you'll have advisors, deans, peer leaders, and others to help you make the transition to college, your families are on their own. It's up to you to help them adjust. Send them emails, texts, maybe even an occasional call, but please stay in touch. It's important that they hear from you. And now a short word for the parents. Being a parent's not always easy. For most of us, it's the most challenging and rewarding job we will ever undertake. The fact that your children are here at college is evidence that you've done your job well. You're no doubt a little anxious about whether your children are ready for all that awaits them. We all raise our children to be independent. Yet when they reach that moment, when they're ready to spread their wings, our natural inclination is to cling to them, but let them go. Don't be a helicopter parent and hover. Learning to deal with a large organization like a college or university is another useful life skill. Trust them to make good choices. And of course they'll make mistakes. We all did. Rest assured, however, they will remember the lessons that you, their very first teachers, taught them. So let's come back to today and to you, members of the class of 2016. The time has come. The time to move on. The time to get this show on the road. But remember your time at Cranbrook. Remember it with fondness and gratitude, and always be there to support your school. Cranbrook's reputation as an academic institution is not based on how many prestigious colleges its graduates attend or how many merit scholars have graduated over the years. Its reputation is largely determined by the cumulative accomplishments and contributions of its graduates to the business world, to the arts and sciences, and most importantly, to society. You are now part of that illustrious group, and I'm quite confident you're ready to make that contribution. So in closing, let me quote from that well-known 1960s philosopher, Bob Dylan, in his song, Forever Young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. Godspeed and good luck.
Good morning. At this point in the ceremony, it is the school's practice to welcome and recognize our alumni who are in attendance this morning. As I call your name, will you please stand and remain standing, and may I ask the audience to hold their applause until all names are read. Our distinguished alumnus, Brian Barefoot, class of 1961. Jameson Williams Feliski, 1986. Patricia Chase Hartman, 1948. Eugene Bud Moore, class of 1953. Donald Slotkin, class of 1954. William Goldsmith, 1971. Lee Gesquire, 1982. Philip Hall, 1984. Matthew Trunsky, 1984. Kenneth Kernan, 1985. Scott Strickland, 2001. From the class of 1961, celebrating their 55th reunion, Barry Shapiro. Class of 1976, for their 40th reunion, Alan Murphy and Keith Rockwell. Class of 1978, Karen Hartman Ludlow and Cliff Ewald. Class of 1980, Carolyn Hartman. Class of 1988, Angel Armulian Alaya. Class of 1987, David Nosenchuk. Class of 1977, Gary Skolnick. Class of 2004, Alex Hyman. Our alumni parents and grandparents of graduates, Erwin Wilson, 1943. Ivan Skolnick, 1950. Robert Wilson, 1976. Michael Velasek, 1978. Charles Storms, 1981. Jackie Scalar Katz, 1984. And Carol Illich, 1985. Because there are many alumni who are siblings of our graduates here today, may I ask all our alumni siblings at this point to please stand. And now, may I call upon our alumni faculty and staff. Darrell Taylor, 1970. Susan Akins Post, 1978. Audrey Armulian, 1986. David Cohen, 1990. Jacob Hazard, 1992. Susan Strickland Muscovitz, 1997. Griffin Howell, 2007. Our honorary alumni, Deborah Rutzen, John Winter, Arla Seibert. At this time, I would like to ask all our alumni whose name I did not call to please stand. Will you please join me in welcoming our alumni back to this ceremony? And finally, I would like to ask the audience to join me in recognizing our retiring faculty. May I ask these faculty to please stand and be recognized. Frank Norton, 47 years. Deborah Rutzen, 47 years. Herb Snitz, number of years undetermined. And would you also thank Charlie Shaw as he steps down from head of the upper school?
The faculty has discharged its duties to the Director of Schools. We have determined that all of these members of the class of 2016 have met the requirements for graduation. On behalf of the faculty, I recommend to you the class of 2016 for the awarding of diplomas.
Cole Michael Adascavage. Jack Robert Allen, diploma cum laude. Sean Paul Anderson, cum laude. John Anthony Angelari. Maxwell Benjamin Apple. Evan Rajan Aurora, cum laude. Cameron Nabil Bays. John Snow Beeson. Nicholas Blue Bennett Carpenter. Taylor Mark Blau. Benjamin Manley Boss. Jordan Alexander Carruthers, cum laude. Jason Chang. John Paul Christides. Nathan Lee Clark. Cooper Rink Cormier. Mark Walter Crew. Zyrus Kingston Curry. Giorgio Donato Del Grosso. Anthony Durgam. Daniel Nathan Feinblum. Avery Bennett Fields. Jordan Allen Finney. Stephen Jordan Friedland. Max Gregory Geisbuehler. Matthew Michael Gerard. Chase Donner Gesquire. Ryan Albert Gimson. Julian Alexander Roberts Ginsberg. Brendan Michael Grant, cum laude. Andrew Heitzi Guan. Dustin Kierful Hartman. Lixon He. Samuel Myers Inlows, cum laude. Satvik Javant Jadhav. Juan Alberto Jimenez, Jr. Jiwen Jin, cum laude. Yuhyun Daniel Joe. Kihoon Harry Jung, cum laude. Syed Anas Kamal. Brandon Chase Carr. Garrett Owen Katz. Spencer Harry Keolian, cum laude. Kenneth Robert Kernan, cum laude. Andrew Michael Laddie IV. Tong Min Lei. Nicholas Andrew Livingston, cum laude. Nathan Alexander Lowmiller. Alan Jason Liu. Hong Yu Ma. Louis Lento Magidson. Joshua David Maher. Raghavendra Marapudi. Stephen Lee Meng. Nicholas Naresh Mihalek. Noah Eric Momblanco. Kadir Nakia Muhammad. Chan Jung Na. Aram Panayoti Nigerian. Huang Min Nguyen, Diploma in Absentia. Blake William Norwick, cum laude. Avish S. Persad. Colin Michael Petzold. Vidarsh Avinash Rashmali. Nathan James Rediers. Chester Joseph Regula. Alexander Manuel Relli. Jack Benjamin Robison. Ross Michael Rogers. Nolan Maxwell Rogo. Mark Samuel Sable. Basanth Sadasavan. Noah Theodore Safian. Jacob Harrison Schwartz, cum laude. Dove Jeremy Seifman. Brendan Alexander Seppi. Milan Sanjeev Shah. Charles Trevor Storms II. Andrew Florine Tennant. John Maverick Townsend. Nolan Samuel Trepic. Andrew Hitchcock Trunsky. Ka-wei Soy. Thomas Joseph Vlasic. Chris Wang. Senhao Wang. Michael Zachary Weiss. Michael Edward Wilson. Yan Sheng Shong. Kaya Jem Yalman. Shoya Yoshida, cum laude. Mu Yang Zhao, cum laude. Yifan Zhu. Christian Blake Zolkowski. Hao Sung Zhou. Wairung Zhou. Please join me in congratulating the Cranbrook Boys class of 2016.
we invite the alumni to join in the singing of the school hymn.
Let's pause again to pray. Eternal God, We thank you once again for this moment. So many have contributed time, resources, sweat, and tears to help these young men reach this milestone. As many of us are rightly filled with pride about these students' accomplishments, help us not to take this moment for granted. We pray that the students themselves would appreciate Cranbrook and the education they received here, an education that goes beyond the mind and encompasses the whole person. May they look back on these years with profound gratitude and joy. Help us all never to forget what a unique and special place this is, and that we are already blessed to be associated with such a wonderful school and community. Amen.
We invite all those in attendance to rise for the singing of America.
God of heaven and earth, we send these young people out from Cranbrook Kingswood and ask for your blessing. As they aim high and go forth to serve, help them not to neglect those who are often named as lowly, the poor, the marginalized, and those who are suffering. Give us all discerning eyes and ears to help others, especially those we might normally neglect and fail to notice. Give each student safety, direction, and courage. Help them to use everything they've learned and become over their years here to the very best of their abilities. Bless parents and families as well. Give them peace in this time of transition. Graciously provide students and parents with divine wisdom to navigate the future that awaits. Finally, we also ask for a restful and rejuvenating summer for all students, parents, staff, and faculty. Empower us all to be a blessing to others in everything that we do. Amen.
Congratulations, Dad.